North Carolina is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My colleagues continue to hold up regular orders an excuse for their unwillingness to stop the flow of taxpayer dollars to organizations that dismember children. Thankfully, there are committee hearings being held on this issue even now that will continue to expose the wrongs of the abortion industry. Here today, though, we take the simple step of stopping funding to organizations that sell children's body parts. And my colleagues' newfound affection for regular order is a poor objection to the passage of this legislation to protect women and children from being parties to trafficking in human tissue. It is not extreme to want to protect the most vulnerable, the unborn, from having their body parts being sold and the use of taxpayer dollars to aid such enterprises. Mr. Speaker, we've heard today about outrageous activities that are ongoing in the abortion industry as it takes apart tiny babies with beating hearts and cute little fingers and toes. It's truly saddening that the reaction in this chamber isn't unanimous agreement that the clinics where this has occurred be closed and those responsible sanctioned for their reprehensible actions. We haven't even been able to come to agreement with those on the other side that federal grants to these organizations from the Department of Health and Human Services stop immediately. Now we try again to find common ground. Today, the legislation before us would take the small but vital step of allowing those states that choose, and only those states, to stop funding abortion providers through Medicaid. This legislation wouldn't tell New York or Massachusetts or California that they can't give their taxpayer dollars to an organization that sells body parts. It would, however, enable Louisiana, Alabama, Arkansas, or Indiana to do so. The principle of federalism, that Americans are free to come together with others in their community and establish the principles by which they will govern themselves, is a bedrock for our nation. Even if opponents of this legislation have become callous to the unheard cries of unborn children dismembered for compensation, they should rally to the cause of federalism in order to allow their own communities to exercise the freedom it protects. What a sad day it is when we can no longer even unite around our founding principles, one of which was that life is the first unalienable right. When we ignore the need to protect that right for the smallest of our brothers and sisters, we should not be surprised by the erosion of our other rights, including the right to self-governance protected by federalism. The exposure of the ongoing tragedy of crushed young lives must spur us to unite to stop this imposition of federal power on states and their citizens and restore to them the choice of protecting children from being sold as organ donors before even taking their first breath. This is what H.R. 3495, the Women's Public Health and Safety Act, would accomplish. And I commend it and this rule providing for its considerations to my colleagues for their support. I yield back the balance of my time. I move the previous question on the resolution.